Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive, incredibly frustrating pain point for control and OT engineers, that costly, stubborn disconnect between static documentation and actual running logic. Look, if you've ever stood out on a plant floor holding a PDF spec in one hand, staring at a massive PLC program on your screen with the other, just desperately trying to figure out if they actually match, well, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, here's our blueprint for today. We'll cover the doc versus code divide, the ClueFlow intelligence layer, plain language troubleshooting, aligning specs to code, safe AI drafting, and saving time on compliance. Let's dive right in to see how we can completely eliminate manual rung hinting. Part 1, the doc versus code divide. Let's dig into this universal plant floor headache. So the core problem here is really a tale of two entirely different worlds. On one side, you've got your static documents, right? The I/O lists buried in spreadsheets, massive PDF manuals, functional descriptions. And then over on the other side, you have the actual living code, your LFX files. But here's the harsh reality. These two worlds almost never match up perfectly. I mean, the second a project goes live, the code has to evolve. It's just a necessity. But those static documents, they get left in the dust. And that creates a really dangerous, not to mention expensive, divide. Get this. I just spent 4 hours cross-checking a spreadsheet against Studio 5000 just to find one missing I/O tag. If you're an OT engineer or an integration specialist, you literally feel that in your bones, and honestly, probably in your blood pressure too. It perfectly highlights that grueling reality of manually hunting through hundreds of rungs during commissioning just to verify basic compliance. It's an absolute drain on your time, your energy, and your budget. Moving to part 2, the ClueFlow intelligence layer. Because there has to be a better way to work, one that doesn't force you to rip and replace your existing IDE. So the crucial concept to grasp here is that ClueFlow acts as an intelligence layer. Basically, think of it as a superpowered engineering workbench that sits right alongside your normal toolchain. It indexes, searches, and reasons over your PLC exports. But, and this is a massive but, it treats that original PLC export on your disk as the absolute untouchable source of truth. You get all this amazing AI assistance right at your fingertips, but without the nightmare of anything silently overwriting your files behind your back. The workflow itself is actually elegantly simple. First, you just ingest your L5X file. Next, the system jumps in and parses that vendor-specific logic into a standardized format. And boom! Instantly, your entire project is ready for semantic search. You're not messing around with complex configurations. The system just handles the logic and immediately makes every routine, every tag, and every rung searchable. You just get straight to work. Section 3, plain language troubleshooting. Let's look at how this totally transforms your daily troubleshooting. Picture this. A fault trips, and you need answers right now. Instead of endlessly scrolling through thousands of lines of logic, you can just ask a natural, plain English question. Something as simple as, where is the motor_01 interlock? Now, how it actually finds that answer is what's really fascinating. It uses a hybrid retrieval method. So it's looking for the exact tag names you typed, sure, but it's also understanding the actual intent behind your question. It pulls in tag descriptions straight from your symbol catalogs to get the full context, and then returns the exact program and wrong references. And the absolute best part? It displays the raw ladder logic mnemonics exactly how you're used to seeing them. It's a cutting-edge search, but it keeps you totally grounded in the visual language you already know. Which brings us to Section 4, aligning specs to running code. Because finding things is great, but what about doing automated compliance during commissioning? This is where ClueFlow's Entity Registry really shines. It automatically cross-references your functional descriptions, like your standard spreadsheet I/O lists, directly against your actual implemented L5X tags. You can see instantly where you have a perfect match. Or even better, you see exactly where a naming convention has drifted between the spec and the code to create a gap. It'll even flag if a sense is just flat out missing, giving you a clear conflict. By automatically surfacing these gaps and conflicts, it completely eliminates that awful 4-hour manual hunt we were talking about earlier. All right, Section 5, safe AI drafting. Now, we all know control engineers are naturally and rightfully pretty skeptical about AI writing code. A hallucinated rung could be a disaster. So let's see how ClueFlow guarantees safety and sovereignty. The entire system is built strictly around human control. First, the AI understands your intent. Second, it drafts a logic proposal using validated structures, so there's no hallucinating random factory block names here. But the third step is where the magic happens. The system will never silently patch your files. Never. Instead, it creates a draft proposal that absolutely requires your strict human review right there in the workspace. You get to review the differences side by side. Finally, in step 4, only when you are 100% satisfied, you accept and commit it. You are always the final authority. And finally, Section 6, saving time on compliance. Let's zoom out for a second. What does all this mean for your day-to-day operations? The contrast here is honestly pretty staggering. Traditionally, we just burn through countless engineering hours doing these manual spec-to-code audits. It's painful. But by automating that cross-referencing process, ClueFlow takes a tedious, multi-day manual audit and turns it into a fast, streamlined task. We are talking about saving massive amounts of engineering hours and significantly accelerating your project timelines. So if you take away just one thing today, let it be this. ClueFlow completely eliminates that grueling, manual, rung-by-rung hunting. It automates your spec-to-code alignment, meaning your documents and your actual logic are finally forced to speak the same language. It gives you safe, document-driven logic drafting where you are always the strict reviewer. And it keeps a fully auditable change history. Basically, you're getting a powerful workbench that keeps your logic totally readable, drastically speeds up commissioning, and keeps you completely in the driver's seat. I'll leave you with this one thought. When you no longer have to fight that constant disconnect between your specs and your running code, what will you actually build next? I mean, when compliance takes minutes instead of days, the possibilities for plant floor efficiency really are endless. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and we'll see you next time.